You're listening to the Legends and Lads Cricket podcast. I'm Chirunandhan Srinath, your host for this week. I have my two co-hosts joining me, Rakesh Rao sir and Krishna Maitreya. And in this episode, we will review the second test between India versus Australia. I know it concluded exactly a week before, and we are actually late, but we couldn't find time for recording this episode. Also, we'll talk about a little about this ongoing third test match, but I don't think we'll be very accurate to our audience because the it loses its relevance once it comes out because the time lag between recording and editing and publishing it, all that matters. But how are you, Rakesh sir? Good to be back with you again here.
Same here. I've always enjoyed having a chat here, and going by what the Indians could do in the first and the third sessions, I think we still have some way to go, and this head has become a true headache for us. So because we are not able to get past him, so and Smith returning to form is also seriously, it's a real bad news for India. But then again, it has exposed the limitation of the Indian attack. So we can always have a word, in detail. So let's see.
Maitreya, how are you? All comfortable in your new college?
Yes, I'm very happy to be back. Now we are back like every week. We are thinking to do as consistent as possible. So I think it's coming very well. We are going, and I'm very happy to be again back, especially during the BGT time.
Yeah, before we commence this episode, I have a very important announcement to make. Uh, so, to enhance our podcast and let it stand out as a unique one, we decided to break each of our match episode into few segments. I think it would engage our listeners better, in a better way. So, the first segment is meme point. So, where we'll talk and make the top trending memes in social media as visual as we can for you. And the second segment is analyst desk, where we show you the numbers, the stats, matchups, and analyze anything that is possible. Third segment is fans eye. So in where episode after episode we get a fan on our show to share his personal views and opinions. So any of our interested listeners could make it to our show. Get in touch in email. You can email us at atombig@gmail.com. Atom ATOMBIGG @gmail.com. And the fourth segment is experts POV. As the idea is already very crystallized that our podcast is known for fans banter as well as expert opinions. We have renowned sports journalists like Rakesh Rao sir and Vijay Lokapalli sir on the board each and every time. So this segment is dedicated to them so that they can share their views and takes on the cricket world. I only hope that this engages our listeners in a better way. This is an experiment and hope so it makes our podcast stand out in a unique way. So, first, before commencing this podcast, I would like to ask Rakesh sir, will this approach make us more listener centric? What do you feel about this?
Yeah, it's a fantastic initiative because you guys know how it works. Because what the young listener wants, or anybody who is young and who is a student like you, and you have to cater to his or her needs. So I think you have a fantastic plan rolled out there. And I just wish and pray that more and more sports lovers get engaged. And we have a good feedback also from people, who want to engage themselves in some meaningful exercise because there is so much available on the social media. Not everything is like relevant or very, very authentic. But I think what you guys do here is absolutely top drawer stuff because it's quite original. The content is original, and the views are very, very genuine. We are not trying to promote somebody who doesn't deserve to, and we do look at things very, very objectively. So I think in today's world and time, I think the relevance of this kind of platform, it gets even more, I mean, I should say relevant because of the kind of, I should say the lack of quality overall. Because I do hear a lot of stuff on the social media, be it YouTube and podcasts and kind of stuff, but they're all selling something or the other. We are not here to sell anything. We are just trying to engage people and trying to get thoughts across, and we hope for the very, very, very best. So I'm sure this initiative is going to be a fantastic one, and of course much depends on the response, and I am very, very optimistic about it.
Thank you, sir, for that wonderful words. Let's get started to the main topic or main agenda of this podcast episode. Uh, yes, India did lose to Australia by 10 wickets. We're talking about the second test. And it was a humiliating defeat coming just after a thumping victory in Perth. And how quickly fortunes had changed, and it was disappointment for all of us again. Again, all of us should agree that we have a strong belief in this team, uh, because all of us want the team to qualify for this WTC final. I've said it 100 times on this podcast that comeback is in our blood. So we have done it many times before, and I believe that this team is capable of doing things uh, that seem to be impossible at many times. But only that sometimes this defeats do happen not only for the Indian team but any other team as well. So, Maitreya, my first question to you is, why do you think we fumble whenever it is a pink ball test match? Because the first time we played ping ball test match, it was versus Bangladesh, and that time we had a really good. We played it in home, and I remember Virat scoring a century as well. But the second ping ball test match that we played was in Australia, where we became 36 all out. Third ping ball was again in England, where we won in just 2 days. But whenever it is ping ball test match versus Australia, why do you think we fumble out? I mean, if you look at the overs we got bundled out for in the second innings in the test match, it was only 36 overs. So we scored 175 in 36 odd overs, and we were all out. I mean, is there any fear factor, or Australia and the pink ball conditions doesn't suit us? What do you think? Because Gill mentioned that he hardly could see the ball because of the conditions. What do you have to say about this?
Yeah, so I think when it comes to the ping ball, we haven't played many tests in ping ball, and especially versus Australia, any test, there's always, you can't say a fear factor, but something, there is something little more about this test because this series is very special. And if you come to this time specifically, and this time we have to perform because, the WTC finals, we have to qualify, and this is the main test for us to go. This is like the semi-finals here. So all of these factors combined with the, if you look at the whole squad, Indians lineup, it is kind of inexperienced, and our experienced players are out of form. If you see Virat Kohli, he hit a century, yes, he was back, but again, if you see the last 10 tests or so, he is not in the form. So combining all these factors, I feel the lack of inexperience among all these players, and the number of ping ball tests we have played, is quite less. And the bowlers also are not that well experienced. So all these factors, and it's versus Australia. Australia in their conditions, they are very, very good, and India was not able to, uh, exploit those conditions. So I think all these factors together is something that led us to a humiliating loss, I can say, because we just avoided an innings defeat very narrowly. So it was a really humiliating defeat for us. After the first test where we performed really well, the second test was something, we expected an Australian comeback, but we expected even India to, fight back. But this was not something we expected. So you can say it was a very humiliating defeat for us. But again, the pink ball, as you said, Gill complained he couldn't see the ball well. So I can only say that the inexperience, we need to play more ping ball tests, if you want to prepare for the ping ball test matches. So I think that is where we were lacking. More practice we should have had. But I think maybe next time, the next series, when we play ping ball test in Australia, we'll be more prepared. So I think this is a big learning lesson for us.
Right. If I run into the playing 11 of the second test match, Rohit surprisingly back in the middle order and is always known as the selfless captain. He gives up his personal objectives, that's what he's known for. And he gave away his opening slot to KL Rahul, who did an exceptional job in the first test. And another concern was Harshit Rana was chosen ahead of Akash Dev, an event really very expensive. Now, yes, he's just a very new debutant who has come into the team. Don't judge him off. Don't throw off judgments and opinions on him. But it wasn't what we needed in Australia at least. So he went wicketless as well. So Rakesh sir, what did you think of the selection for the second test? Was the KL Rahul opening was good, but do you think Rohit necessarily had to go so down in the middle order and also Akash Deep? Anyway, he's coming into the team in this third test match. It's going on. So, yeah, your views on the selection of the second test match.
See, number one, Rahul staying where he was, I mean, he just had to be there. He couldn't have been elsewhere because of his contribution. And the team management had no reason to believe that Rohit could straight away come and open the innings. So, which was a very wise thing to do because Rohit had to come low down the order. There was no question of replacing Rahul just because it was his spot. You have to go by the fact that Rohit joined the squad only during that innings when Rahul was really doing well. And number two, you spoke about Harshit Rana. Now, again, Harshit Rana, you had no reason to drop him after what he did in the first match. You couldn't have just replaced him just because you wanted Akash in. But yes, he proved very expensive. And of course, you can't be too harsh on Rana because he's young. He just hasn't got the experience. And you are up against a home side which is determined to come back. So Rana did whatever that you could expect a youngster to do. And nothing more. But then, again, a word about Rohit. Now, imagine Rohit is the sort of guy who's had almost a forgettable 2024. He hasn't scored so much in all the matches. I mean, I'm not talking about like white ball. I'm only talking about red ball here. And a guy who's lacking confidence and someone who has lost the last 4 test matches. When was the last time, can you recall, that an Indian captain enters a 5th test having lost the last 4? I mean, that itself shows that his confidence is low and a captain is only as good as a team is. But in bit, if you just look at those matches, the one that he has lost, 3 at home where he was expected to do well, 1 in a kind of environment where Indians are not very comfortable. Maitreya is right. We lack experience when we play with anything other than white and pink ball, white and like red ball. But pink ball in particular, we have to understand one thing. You don't have a single tournament or even a shorter format event in India. And you straight away go and play pink ball cricket, say in Australia. We think we have a clean record here at home, but that doesn't mean anything. But the point is, when you go to Australia, you know that there is a series every 3 years. You know how it is to go and play, especially in a place like Adelaide and Brisbane. Like we all know that West Indies showed the way. They just about managed to beat them in the same year. So it is not that Australia is unbeatable under lights. But if you look at the Indian preparation, why did we go there early? Because we wanted to prepare for Perth. Why did we have this kind of an itinerary where you had a huge gap between test number 1 and the second one? Because you wanted to practice with pink ball. Obviously, you have given your best. And if someone like Shubman Gill has to come and say that he couldn't see it, that's an excuse. You have played enough international cricket. And this kind of a statement for me is very, very childish. If I mean, you have to prepare. If you're not prepared, don't make excuses. Say you were not prepared. Don't say I couldn't see the ball. What is there? You did practice. You were considered fit enough to get into the playing 11. That means the team management thought that you were good enough to face the pink ball. And obviously, we came a cropper playing, something like 44.1 overs in the first, and then I think another 36.4 or something in the second. Uh, we don't, we still haven't got the hang of pink ball cricket, especially when you play in Australia. We got smashed last time around, 36 all out. You remember that? So, and I think our biggest problem is the way we are playing our first innings. Just look at how we have done in the last few matches. First innings has been a disaster, and when you play a pink ball game there, you actually opt to once you get in there, you still have to apply. And for me, this pink ball thing was an expected disaster. I never expected Indians to do very well, of course, riding on that confidence of that huge win. I did expect that the match would go a little longer, but Indians always looked a suspect. And this team, which relies so much on just one bowler. Last time we did get those 20 wickets, but going forward, I think Bumrah has to take too much of load. And what we are seeing in the ongoing, innings, he's getting tired. He's already bowled around 25 overs. Now, that is not good news because he's not getting any support from the other end. This is exactly what we saw in the first match. I mean, in the second match also. You expect Siraj to strike more consistently. He has been a big disappointment. So overall, when you look at it, let's not just look at the selection. I think overall, as a team, this team has to lift itself.
Yeah. Think of the Aussies and what comes to your mind, Maitreya, because it's always aggression. There is, a banter. There is constant chirping. There is exchange of words. There is a lot of drama. A lot more drama happens. Well, there was another such heated moment between Siraj and Travis Head. Both of them have been handed one demerit point by the ICC. Now, this is the narrative in its point of view. He complimented Siraj, well bowled after he crashed the stumps. Maybe there was a misunderstanding, and Siraj gave him an animated send off, and Head said that he was surprised and disappointed. And there were fans booing Siraj and all that. So, Maitreya, who started it all? What do you think?
Well, to find out who started it all is a very tough question because there are two sides of the story and we don't know which one is right. We can't just make our own assumptions. But if you come to the whole thing, Australians, aren't such great, sportive players. They have also sledged a lot. They have been sledging from the 1990s, 80s, and during the Ricky Ponting era, the sledging was at its peak. So when these people are talking about sledging and morals of the game, I think that is a kind of hypocrisy. But if you see, maybe at that point of time, Head had played a very wonderful innings, and so if Head Adams, he said well bowled, then I think it wouldn't be right on Siraj's part, to give an animated send off. But if he had said anything otherwise, then Siraj had absolutely every right to, do what he did because I think Siraj was very tired that day. He was getting hit, and then we needed that wicket, and he got the wicket. So I think all that, anger along with the efforts he had put in to take that wicket, he has just showed it off in that one moment. So if you look at it from both point of view, from Siraj's point of view, actually, if you look at it, he was right in expressing out his anger. Maybe a little bit more he went on, but actually the Australian people have to just, keep quiet with it because he didn't say anything much. He just made an animated send off. We have been seeing such things happening in the IPL, many places. Siraj, he has done many things like this a lot of times. So I think there's actually, from my point of view, I feel there's nothing wrong because he's just venting out his anger and it's a stress release for him after bowling such a long spell and taking out the wicket finally. So coming to it, I think Australians have no right to actually say anything about sledging or talk about moral ethics of the game, because we all know how they have played throughout the years and the moral ethics that they have showed towards the game. So when these people, like Michael Clark or Ricky Ponting, talk about Siraj's sledging, I feel that is irony, because they can't do that and they have no right to do that. And Siraj, hasn't committed a big blunder. He just, the animated response that is quite common in the game. We see Virat Kohli doing that many times. Siraj went a little closer to him and there was an exchange of words. So I think that's just a heat of the moment, at that point of time. So anyway, next day we have seen head come back and they shook hands. So I think it's all over now. But maybe it shouldn't have been blown out of proportion. But coming to the source of who started it, we can't find out that, because both have different sides of the story. But again, I would say uh, Siraj was not totally wrong in this. The way Australian media has portrayed it, Siraj is not totally wrong. He was receiving boos from the crowd whenever he's going. Even in the ongoing test, he was receiving boos from the crowd. So I think maybe that he has not done anything to receive that kind of treatment. But yeah, home team supports home team, so that's part of the game.
Well said, Maitreya. And yeah, if you look at the scorecard of match summary, India was bowled out for 175. And in fact, the very first ball was a wicket. I remember I was watching it live. LBW, Jaiswal LBW bowled Mitchell Stark, and there were a lot of memes coming out because if you remember the way he sledged in the first test match, you're bowling too slow, and then Stark took his wicket, and also he was back in form. He's taking his 5 wicket haul after so many days. Uh, and then, yeah, Rakesh sir, your views on Mitchell Stark coming back in form. Rakesh sir,
Yeah, sorry.
how dangerous could Mitchell Stark be as he was in the second test match? He got a 6 wicket haul, and
Yeah.
was sure that he's going to be a terror for the rest of the series. So, yeah, talk
See,
about it.
two things in modern day cricket you shouldn't do. That is, you cannot wake up a sleeping giant. You cannot do that. That is where I think, if you remember what happened in the 2003 World Cup, India versus Australia, somebody like Zahir Khan decided to provoke like Matthew Hayden. Now, you cannot just trigger somebody like Head or Cummins or Stark. I mean, you just keep quiet, because fast bowlers, and Siraj, what he did, because I remember, Siraj on his own, when you get smashed out of the park, he was hitting this guy at will, and he tried to, and the kind of send off which like Head got. It is not what the Australians are saying. I won't get into that one, because yes, Maitreya has put it beautifully. What I want to say here is, I'm only looking at Siraj. Siraj is not in form, number one. He did get those few wickets last innings around, but you can see him struggling. He is struggling to the core. He is not getting his rhythm. He's bowling a little short and getting hit all over the park. Now, somebody like him, being a fast bowler, I can understand he has to give vent to his, his emotions and whatever it is. But, cricketing wise, I'm sure he must have been told later, don't, if somebody is not doing well, stay quiet. Jaiswal telling Stark, you're bowling too slow. What rubbish, you know? You can enjoy that moment, the youth will love it, the social media will gaga over it, and so somebody who scored in excess of 150 and he told Stark, you're bowling slow or whatever. Come on, show some respect, yeah. Come on, you haven't played enough to even stand up to somebody like Stark. Hit him all over the park. Let your bat do the talking. Don't utter a word. That is not how gentleman's game is played. So I was disappointed by what Jaiswal had to say. Of course, the masses love it, but again, what Siraj did, I will not defend him. I will not at all defend him. I'm not going into what the Australians had to say. Australians got what they deserved. That's a very different thing, but not here. Here, instead of acknowledging the batter, acknowledging the guy who has done well. I remember VVS Lakshman scoring that epic knock. Of course, India lost at Sydney. This was, I think, just after 2000. And Brett Lee and VVS Lakshman share a great equation. And he hit Brett Lee all over the park that day. But Brett Lee, after VVS got out, he ran up to him, gave him a pat. Now that is what you see. I don't expect Siraj to run up to Travis Head and say, well done, you smashed me. No, I don't expect that. But when after he got his wicket, at least that, this is where I think some people have to be told and they also have to learn. Leave Travis Head, let him do what he's doing. Don't provoke these guys because Siraj is not that kind of a guy. And Virat does exactly that. Even I'm not very happy with what Virat tries to show his emotions, especially when he is the captain of the team and when he stands at long on and long off. He drops a catch himself and sheepishly picks up the ball and he throws it back. But what happens when when someone else misfields? He yells, he abuses. So, excuse me. So that is what I don't like. Now, Siraj is not in that league, but yes, what happened was bad. But I'm connecting it to what is happening now because those guys are now, they want to give it back to you. They were sleeping in the first match. You softened them up. You hit them very hard. You expected them to come back. Now you don't have to help them come back. What Indians are doing is helping them come back. This is the Aussie aggression that you see. Because this is exactly what they want. You are feeding them. Stay quiet, ignore them, and then that hits them. But if you think that you can give it back to them, it is their game. Sledging is their game, so don't try to match them there. So you have to disarm them. Saurav Ganguly tried this in India. Thereafter, every time we went to Australia, what happened to us? That great, middle order of ours got smashed the last time the entire team played there. It's only after Virat we saw post 2016 that things started happening. Again, what I'm trying to say is that you have to understand that this team is a wounded side after what you did to them. 295 run defeat is not something that Australia is used to. So thereafter, the approach should have been let them say or do what they want to do. We have to focus on the job, which we haven't. Our 20 wickets together couldn't bat out 100 overs in a test match. So we have a lot to do. And since then, we haven't played an innings. So a lot of stuff. We are already behind. And what Travis Head is doing is he's playing with your head now. The guy who has had such a dismal record on this particular pitch hits a score of 150 plus with back-to-back hundreds. Now, imagine Indians have to just keep their mouth shut. Don't provoke anybody. Focus on the job ahead and finish the job. We are capable of giving it right back to the Aussies, but not by the use of words.
Yeah, looking at the match summary, Travis Head and Labuschagne led Aussies to a total of 377 after our 180 total. And then Bumrah was the only exceptional bowler in the Indian lineup. He got 4 wickets. Siraj too got 4 wickets, but he was way more expensive and he just took out the wickets of the tail. And Bumrah's figures were 4 for 61, while Siraj's were 4 for 98. There itself is the difference. And then India got bowled out for 175 in just 36 overs, mind you. And then 3 bowlers doing enough to do the work. Cummins got a 5-wicket haul. He is also back in form now, and that is really a serious bad sign for us. And Australia chased a target of 19 in 3.2 overs and ended as a defeat by 10 wickets. That's a wrap on the match. Now we'll move into the new segment that we have thought to initiate.
Chiru, I'm sorry, I want to just step in here.
Yes.
You just mentioned that Bumrah got the tail. Out of those 4 wickets, Siraj got the tail. Yes, okay. Yeah. Siraj wiped it out. Bumrah was the one who got 3 out of the top 4 guys. He got Khwaja, McSweeney and Steven Smith before getting his opposite number. So Bumrah is still trying his bit. Siraj, I expect him to strike up there. He cannot be waiting for a team to, I mean, for somebody like Jasprit Bumrah to strike every single time, and then he's waiting for his turn. No, that cannot happen.
So
Yeah.
apologies for that mistake. But yeah, now we'll move into the segments that we thought we would initiate from this episode. So to the meal point anchored by Krishna Maitreya, he will take us through the top trending meals of the second test between India versus India and Australia. So Maitreya, over to you.
Well, so many memes circulated, after the second test, but the few main ones, the important ones that caught my eye were, you know, the first one revolves around, Siraj's and Head's banter. So after the banter there, the next day we see Head coming and, patching up things with Siraj. So a very famous meme came, everyone knows that Siraj now became the DSP. So it came that since now both of them are going to play for the same franchise, SRH. So since Head got to know that Siraj is the DSP of Hyderabad, so he had come to patch up things because it will be smooth for him when he plays IPL. So that was one of the meme that caught my mind. And then the other one was about India's dismal performance, and the only star of the show was Jasprit Bumrah from the first test. So Siraj's famous audio, I only believe in Jesse Bai because he's a game changer. So that one has been put into many templates. There's a morphed one of Pat Cummings getting a call, and the audio in the phone will be, I only believe in Jesse Bai because he's a game changer player. So these are the two memes that really crack me up, and there are many, many, many more memes. But these are the two main ones that have been going around and around, for the past, 2, 3 weeks. So that
Okay.
concludes the meme point.
you. Thank you for that, Maitreya. The next segment, I think it is very, very unique compared to other cricket podcasts because this is called the Fans Eye, where fans will share their bias, their personal insights on the game of cricket. It can be as personal as the fan wants it. On this episode, we have Sai Sudarshan Jagannath from Chennai. He's a hardcore CSK and MSD fan. Let's hear from him what he has to say on the ongoing India versus Australia Test series. Over to you, Sudarshan.
Yeah, hi. Uh, Really wonderful be part of this. Sir Rakesh, sir, I've been reading your articles for a long time now. I'm really honored to be in your show, and thanks for having me here in this podcast. So, as as youngsters, the one of the most favorite pastime is watching cricket, and especially matches like India, Australia, India, Pakistan. So now that the test we had, the first test was a blast for the Indians, having a very convincing win. But coming to the second test, it was a complete disappointment in Adelaide for various reasons. So, if in my opinion, some of the mistakes or some of the reasons for that drawback, firstly, the Jaiswal's golden duck after an amazing century at Perth, and that was an opener becoming out is a very very disappointing start for any team, and especially a golden duck is the worst that could happen. And secondly, I would really would point out Virat and Rohit's performances, which were, to frankly say, it was hopeless. You know, especially Virat's fourth stump line issue is not yet rectified by him. He always, whether it is Anderson or any of the Australian bowlers, he always most of the time gets out on this particular issue, and he has still not yet rectified. And even Rohit Sharma, unusually playing now order coming down the order and playing at number six is, according to stats now, you can say it's a complete a terrible decision. And even the other batsmen, one important thing which I felt was the other batsmen, they went for scoring runs and getting a better lead, and instead of focusing on staying on the crease when the top order is crumbled. It is most important that you stay in the crease even if runs doesn't come. Just being on the crease and getting those singles and making that partnership is more important. And here in the matches we could see that all the players were more into scoring the runs and naturally becoming out under Stark's spell and Cummins' leadership. So that's a very very hopeless thing, you should say. And but when you look at Australia's performance, it's just the opposite. When it comes to the bowling, Stark's 6 wickets, Cummins and Boland's amazing performance. They all the three bowlers supported each other and played a very good game of cricket, and really appreciate the Australians for that. And when it comes to batting, as I mentioned about India's how they looked for scoring runs, Australia was different. Different exception to Travis Head. He played his game. I completely respect that. He was comfortable scoring runs more quickly. But if you see Marnus Labuschagne and McSweeney, they played their game. They stood on the crease, waited for those unwanted deliveries where they could score runs, and they kept their wicket, and that's what probably put pressure on the Indian bowlers. Even bowlers like Siraj, who were quite aggressive, even they kind of struggled to get those wickets, and that itself is a big victory for the Australians. And I think that's what led to the downfall of Australia. So, I mean, now as we speak, even the current test which is going on at Gabba, even there also you could see the strategy of playing a more defensive game. Steve Smith, if you see, he scored a century in 190 deliveries. He stood the ground and he played those defensive shots. He left what was unnecessary and he played his game. And at the same time, he was able to score 12 boundaries as well. And even when you see McSweeney, though he scored just 9 runs, that he scored it in 49 deliveries, and that itself adds pressure. Test is all about putting pressure on the opponent, and here we can see that they are even though McSweeney didn't score so many runs, he was at least able to put that pressure and of two batsmen being on the crease, and that's what is very important. And Travis Head, no comments. I mean, really amazing performance. He played his game. He played though it was a breezy innings, it still made a lot of impact, and he played those. He knew what he was playing, and that is very important. So yeah, and hopefully now I really wish that India can bounce back and win a Gabba. So it's very important and that they correct these issues and bounce back and get a victory for India. Yeah, over to Chiru.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sudarshan, for coming. Rakesh sir, a word or two for Sudarshan for coming into this episode. So you're muted.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Like at the outset, young man, thank you so much. I'm so glad that I could reach out to youngsters like you, and
that's mine.
of course I didn't do anything great. No, it's entirely like mine, for the simple reason. I've been extremely fortunate to be wherever I was. I could live my dream, and coming from youngsters like you, I take it as a huge compliment, and also the kind of reward that I have received in the last 40 years as a journalist. And trust me, I value this, and it's great to see youngsters like you expressing your views with such clarity. I've always maintained in various lectures, discussions, debates and all, that as a nation, as a society, I think we older guys have so much to learn from the younger lot. And every time I hear someone like you, Cheru, all these guys, Maitreya, to name a few, I'm saying that you guys have evolved so early in life, and I wish you guys the very best in whatever that you pursue tomorrow. Chase your dreams. That's what I've always maintained, because that's what I did as a youngster. I knew that this is only one lifetime that I'm going to get, and I want to do whatever that my heart wants me to follow. and you guys seem to be doing that. Please just go ahead and chase your dreams. May God be
Thank,
with you at all times. God bless you.
thank you, sir.
Now,
Thank you.
that's one. Number two, when when you talk about how the Aussies have managed to hit the Indians between the ears, I'm completely with you, because I think they have managed to not only hit hard through their those guys who are supposed to be batting hard, be it Alex Cali, Carey is there, Head is there, and if people like Lebushan, Smith, these are the guys who are stayers, so they are playing their game. They are more in the Cheteshwar Pujara sort of a like mode. But when you have somebody like like Travis Head coming there and smashing you all over the park in quick time, that is what gives Australia the advantage. You can have a Lebushan batting for 50 odd like deliveries for just 2 runs. That is also because he had actually announced it, that I'm going to bat and bat and bat. He was not bothered about how much he scores, and this is what we saw in the ongoing innings also, that they are willing to stick there. I mean, Jay, like they're just staying on there. They're in no great hurry to score runs. And I think that is what Indians will have to do, because you can't be getting bowled out in 100 overs in your 2 innings put together. So that is where I think we need to learn from the Aussies.
Well, welcome to the podcast anchored by Chirunandhan Srinath. That's me. Well, in this segment, we'll dig out some numbers and analyze the game of cricket with our limited knowledge, whatever we have. So this episode, uh, we're going to talk about the WTC final scenario of for the 4 teams: Australia, India, South Africa, and Sri Lanka. Uh, so it is not yet updated. I mean, it's not updated. It's up to date after the second test match. Well, after this third test match, we do not know. I mean, because it's an ongoing test match, I can't guarantee you the time you're being listening to this podcast. I do not know. So, well, for South Africa, I think they just need one win with Pakistan. Coming that has to come from 2 matches, 2 test match series, and if they lose both the matches against Pakistan, India and Australia have can finish above them, so that means that India and Australia will make it to the final. For Australia, scenario is they have to win 2 wins out of the 3 test matches remaining versus India. If at all it is a two is to two versus India, I think they need to win 1 test versus Sri Lanka. Uh, 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 the test series that happens after this India test series to them for them, and then if they lose 2-3, 2-3 to India, and then they need to win 2 tests versus Sri Lanka out of 2. They need to win both of the test matches. For India, it is a bit complicated because there are a lot of probabilities here. I'm not a math student, but there is something called oh, I don't get the word right now. Some combinations or something like that. Okay, right. So for India, they need to win 2 and draw 1, even if Australia wins 2-0 versus Sri Lanka, India will go to the finals. And if India wins 2-1 to Australia, Australia will go to WTC final if they win both the test series versus Sri Lanka, and South Africa have to win one more test. And if India wins if there's a draw in this test series, then Sri Lanka and Australia, the test series between Sri Lanka and Australia has to be 0-0, and then Australia and India will have 55.26 percentage. So, and then India will progress to the final because they have more test series wins. And if there is a series defeat of 1-2 or 1-3 or 1-4, I think it will end India's hopes. But if India loses 3-2, we can go to the final if South Africa loses uh, both the test matches and Australia gets at least one draw. And Sri Lanka's, I think their chances have gone down after a series loss in South Africa, but they can still qualify if Sri Lanka beat Australia 2-0, and South Africa. They also need South Africa to lose to Pakistan in both test matches, or if South Africa or if South Africa draws one with Pakistan and Australia wins 2-1 to India, then Sri Lanka can go to the final. I think it is. I haven't done the good job of explaining it. I'll try my best at explaining these kind of things in the future episodes. Well, the next segment is my most favorite segment, the experts POV, wherein now we shall hear Rakesh sir answer mostly tough questions. So this episode, my question is, I felt that the only time Aussies had trouble was when the ball was in Bumrah's hands. Right, you already mentioned it, sir. And Rohit even made a comment that he only wished that Bumrah could bowl from both the ends the entire day, but both rules and his body won't accept that. So my question is, what is Bumrah doing so unique that keeps him, cut off from the rest of the others?
Well, number one, what Bumrah is doing, I don't think we have seen any fast bowler do that. For the simple reason, look at this action. It is not his pace. It is not where he, like hits the deck. No, it is his action that people are not able to read. Because he is capable of delivering the ball from a point which is not exactly over his shoulders, because he gives it a slight angle to it. Now, from the same angle, he can bring the ball in or he can take it away. Now, this he does with both right-handers and left-handers. Now, that is the beauty of it. This is where people are struggling. And now you add his accuracy. He bowls to his field. He is not straying down the leg side needlessly. If he has taken a 6-3 or a 7-2 field, he bowls there. And it is not that people are trying to hit him out of the park and they get out. They are getting out either LBW or caught behind or caught in the slips. This is his major thing. That is because he is not trying to pitch on the middle and leg, because that is where you have a chance of getting hit. Because he pitches the ball at the right spot and then he brings it into a right-hander. Now, the batter, most of the time, he sets them up so beautifully. We have seen it time and again that he pitches, if you just look at his initial overs, when the ball is new, he's making the batter play, and also he's pitching it pretty close to the bat, or rather the off stump, or rather that particular line which he bowls, which makes a batter play at it. It's very easy to leave all these like deliveries if you are not bowling where you ought to bowl. That's his accuracy that makes him so difficult to face, because you never know from the same action which ball is coming in. You can't just afford to just, allow it to just go like that. You will have to still see it. And also, still he attacks the stumps. Now, in Australia, where we know that they bounce a little more, that means it's very important for you to pitch closer to the wickets. That means you're also taking a chance that it could be turned into a half volley. It could be a Yorker can go wrong and it can become a full toss. But what he does is, if he pitches it a little, like back of the, like length, then the chances of him getting an LBW is very difficult, because the ball is likely to miss the stumps. So what he does is, he bowls from an angle, tries to hit the stumps, and that is why people are always thinking, what is he going to do next? And he delivers 6 different kinds of like deliveries. If he wants to, he can do that. But what he's doing these days is he's setting them up so well, and that too in a variety of ways. And he's aided hugely by the slip cordon, and also, of course, Rishabh. Rishabh is doing a fantastic job behind the stumps, and that is what is making Bumrah so difficult to face. But unfortunately, he cannot just do the job every single time. I mean, he needs support. And that is where, if you just look at, in contrast, I'm saying, look at where Bumrah is and where the rest of the guys are. That is what makes India a weak bowling team. And this has been exposed so often. It's like, and to make matters worse, our batters are not doing well. So when you put things into perspective, Bumrah stands out in that crowd, because your top order fails more often. Your bowlers are not among the like wickets, be it at home or now in Australia. But the point is, the bowlers are doing a decent job because they still don't have the experience of the Australian like lineup. Look at the fast bowling attack which Australia has. So Indians are inexperienced in comparison. The spinners are more experienced, but then of course they are not. I mean, the wickets are not helping. In all this, Bumrah stands out, and that is why he is trying to make things happen. He doesn't wait for things to happen. I think Siraj and some others are waiting to get a wicket. Bumrah doesn't do that. Bumrah knows what he's doing, and that is why he's so special. And the world has taken note of him. He is world's number one bowler across different formats. Give it to him. He has earned his place, and he really deserves to be where he is.
Maitreya, I'm sure that you are actually splitting tabs where one is reverse side where we are recording this podcast, another tab you have this Crick Buzz or ESPN Crick Info following the third test match. And as we see the live score, it is 400. Australia's total has come to 401 for 7. 100 overs have been bowled. So do you think if India has to win this, it's almost impossible, or do you think we at least need to draw this to make our WTC final scenario a little better?
So as you said, Australia is batting really, really well, but
Okay.
that doesn't mean India can't bat the same. We can also give a really befitting reply with the bat. So that is my optimistic point of view, because as an Indian fan, inside the Indian fan of me inside is really
Even
hoping
so,
that
Rakesh, sir, will you take the question?
Yeah, see, I see that the Aussies are going at a good pace. Their like run rate is almost 4 runs an over. It's just around four. It's just it has crossed four now, and still some 11 overs to go. After the over which is in progress. So what they have done is they have tried to make up for the lost time. Uh, we shouldn't have allowed them to score the way they scored. 4 runs an over is huge, and that puts India under added pressure. It's not the 400 runs which they've scored, because we need to just understand that we need to stay there. We need to bat out 5 sessions. That is what the goal should be. You bat out 5 sessions in your first innings, it's a draw, because remaining time, whatever there is, you have to bat out those times. Even if you score, about about 40 runs an hour, which is okay, which is not so bad, but you still have to bat so much. It is not that you will get the lead, you need not, but you still have to be around. You can't give them the advantage of time. You have to make them hurry even when they come out in the second innings, but you cannot afford to have another bad first innings score on the board. The score of 150 or say around 100, you lose half the side with 100 or even 80, 90 on the board. That cannot happen. Because the stakes are high. On one hand, we talk about India qualifying or at least eyeing a place in the WTC, but the way we are playing, we don't deserve to be there. So you need to up the ante. We have to remember what we did to them in the first match. The second match was bad, and today has been a sad day for India, because after after getting the top three, we have just let that advantage slip. And now they will come very hard at you, because 400 plus on the board with 3 days to go. And they'll be really going for these 40 wickets. And India, because of the bad first inning track record, the pressure is entirely on India.
Right. Well, this will bring you to the end of today's episode. Hope you like this. Follow Legends and Lads Cricket Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts on. You can follow us on Instagram, X, Facebook, and other social media platforms. Thank you, Rakesh sir, for coming, and thank you, Maitreya, for joining us.
Thank you.
It was a wonderful episode.